things that I did.
Why did you make these decisions?
For the good of my family. What I do for my family. You need to understand.
I have to hear one more time that you did this for the family.
Humiliation. This is one of the most dangerous emotions a person can experience. Psychologists have spent decades studying the way humiliation affects behavior because, unlike simple embarrassment, humiliation attacks a person's identity. It creates a feeling that someone has been undermined, disrespected, or stripped of value. History is filled with people who carried humiliation so deeply that it turned into resentment, obsession, and finally, destruction.
You can harbor resentment for unlived life for a very, very long period of time. And all it does is corrupt you.
Some of the worst people to exist were driven by an overwhelming need to regain control, power, or importance. Humiliation has a way of changing how people see the world around them. It can make someone feel invisible, weak, forgotten. And when people spend enough time feeling powerless, eventually some of them are willing to do anything to feel powerful again. The first episode goes out of its way to make him look powerless. His students laugh at him, and he washes cars after school to make extra money. He barely feels noticed at his own birthday party. The show carefully builds this version of Walter before everything collapses. The entire first season is watching a man's whole life be eroded over time. Walter believed that life robbed him of greatness. He helped found gray matter and then has to watch other people become wealthy and respected while he ends up teaching high school. Every part of his life reinforces the same message: you are worthless. Psychologically, humiliation becomes dangerous when a person begins to connect power with self-worth, and that is exactly what happens to Walter White.
You know the business. And I know the chemistry.
The moment he enters the drug world, he feels something he has not felt in years, or even his entire life. People listen to him, people respect him. His intelligence suddenly has value again.
$50,000. I give you your money.
And the human brain responds powerfully to that kind of transformation. Power creates reinforcement. Every successful manipulation, every victory over another criminal, every moment someone says Heisenberg feeds the part of Walter that has spent decades feeling invisible. That's why his descent feels so believable. Walter isn't just making money, he's becoming addicted to significance itself. In most stories, tragedy comes from one massive mistake, one moment where everything suddenly falls apart. But in real life, catastrophe is usually built up from smaller decisions that seemed harmless at the time.
Who is Jesse Pinkman?
He sells me pot.
A conversation that lasted a few seconds too long, a lie told to avoid conflict.
Please, can you just tell the truth?
What do you mean?
Breaking Bad turns that idea into the foundation of its storytelling, and because of that, the entire series feels unbearably tense even during the ordinary scenes. What sets Walter apart is that you rarely feel like he's making the most evil choices at first. Most of the time, he feels like he's someone trying to survive impossible situations while constantly convincing himself he still has control. People like to imagine they would always make the morally correct decision under pressure, but Breaking Bad constantly asks the harder question: what would you do if every option felt wrong? The genius of the writing is how the show never treats small moments like filler. Tiny choices become devastating later on. Walter refusing help from gray matter seems understandable at first because the audience understands his pride. Jesse meeting Jane feels like a normal relation subplot before it changes everything. Even something as simple as Walter leaving evidence behind for a few seconds becomes catastrophic. The show trains viewers to understand that every detail matters, which creates a level of tension few TV shows have ever matched. Walter believes that he can fix everything if he solves one more problem, or tells one more lie, one more deal, one more manipulation, and that mindset feels painfully human. Most people don't destroy their lives all at once. They convince themselves that they can manage the situation that slowly becomes unmanageable. The audience continues to sympathize with Walter as his decisions grow more destructive. They show that many of his actions are not calculated evil, but they are panic, desperation, or attempts to regain control. The show also understands something psychologically true about pressure and fear. Once people feel trapped, their decision-making becomes reactive instead of rational. Walter spends most of the series trying to manipulate multiple collapsing versions of himself at the same time. Once husband, a father, a teacher, a criminal, a protector, and a provider. Every time one is falling apart, he makes another compromise to hold the others together. And while viewers can clearly see the damage that he is causing from the outside, the brilliance of Breaking Bad is that the audience is still emotionally attached to Walter and his logic, and most things feel understandable in the moment. That's why Breaking Bad creates such a unique perspective and tension compared to other crime dramas. The suspense is not mainly from the action or violence alone, instead it comes from anticipation. You'll find yourself asking if this is the move that he finally gets caught. The audience understands that the consequences in this world are permanent. Nothing resets. There's no clear escape for Walter. One of the smartest things Breaking Bad has ever done is refuse to tell the audience exactly how they should feel about Walter White. The show never stops presenting him as human, even in the worst moments.
When we see someone who's hurting, someone who's vulnerable or in pain, publicly humiliated,
we emotionally want to wrap our arms around them and protect them. And that's the joyous part of a human experience.
That's important because most stories make morality easy. This clearly separates heroes from villains, so viewers always know who deserves support. Breaking Bad avoids that almost entirely. Instead, it places the audience inside Walter's perspective and allows them to experience every decision alongside him in real time. Since viewers experience events primarily through his eyes, they naturally understand the reasoning even when they disagree with the actions. When Walter feels trapped, the audience feels trapped with him. When someone threatens him, viewers instinctively want him to survive. Another reason the show keeps viewers conflicted is because Walter is almost always surrounded by people who are more dangerous than he is. Characters like Tuco, Gus, or the cartel create a comparison effect where Walter often seems more rational by contrast. The series also avoids simplifying Walter into a completely cold or emotionless figure. Throughout the show, there are still moments where he appears genuinely caring, regretful, or conflicted. He clearly loves his family. He tries to justify his actions to himself. At times, he feels horrified by the consequences of his own decisions. Other moments suggest that he enjoys power and control far more than he admits. The show rarely confirms one interpretation over the other. Instead, it leaves space for the viewer to sit back and decide whether Walt is someone to be corrupted by circumstance, someone revealing their true nature, or perhaps a combination of both. One of the clearest moral breaking points comes with Jane's death, making a conscious decision to not save her. He removes her from Jesse's life because she is an inconvenience to his plans. He is no longer someone reacting to circumstances. He is someone choosing who gets to live based on his own advantage. That pattern continues in how he treats Jesse. Over and over, Walter manipulates him, lies to him, and exploits his vulnerability. He poisons Brock to emotionally break Jesse into obedience, and repeatedly uses guilt and trauma as tools. Their relationship is not mentorship or partnership. It becomes psychological abuse disguised as necessity. Even beyond specific moments, what defines Walter is his refusal to stop when he has clearly the chance to walk away. Instead, he escalates, not because he has to, but because he wants to. Power, control, recognition, and the ego begin to outweigh every justification he once used to defend himself. By the end of the series, Walter White is no longer a misunderstood man pushed too far. He is someone who constantly chooses harm, justified it afterward, and built an entire identity around it. The tragedy isn't that he just became a monster. It's that he was repeatedly given moments to not become one, and chose it anyway.
You need to understand.
I have to hear one more time that you did this for the family.
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it.